let's go ahead and go in chronological order here, Cron Pod style, and talk about the Gator Bowl and some storylines going into it. First, the biggest storyline for me heading into this Gator Bowl matchup between Notre Dame and South Carolina is the fact that quarterback for Notre Dame, Drew Pine, enters the transfer portal. He was the guy on the roster. We've seen Notre Dame, at least early in the year, have a couple of quarterbacks vying for it, but really over that stretch run of the year where Notre Dame really started to hit their stride, Drew Pine was the signal caller. This is an Irish team that on the one hand averages 200 yards per game through the air, which is 106th out of 131 of the nation, so not a team that's really prolific passing. So you think, okay, not losing a whole lot there. But still, on the other hand, Tyler Buckner, their backup, has thrown for just 378 yards on the season. He's got no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He went 18 for 32 for 201 yards and 2 picks in the loss against Marshall earlier in the year, and he was 10 of 18 for 177 yards versus Ohio State week 1. The Irish are top 5 team in terms of rushing offense, but how one-dimensional they're going to potentially be with not only Pine gone, but some of the other playmakers they have gone as well. That's going to be kind of like what you're saying as far as not having your best lineup, even though you went 8-4, you beat Clemson, you've got this really strong team. You're not going to have your best team on the field against South Carolina. So it doesn't put Coach Marcus Freeman in a good spot to try to go 1-1 for bowl games for the Irish.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing that does help him is the fact that South Carolina quarterback Spencer Rattler has put his name into the transfer portal and will not be playing in this game. So that is a big, big, big factor for the Fighting Irish going into this game. Look, Notre Dame, their defense was what was going to lead them all this year, and that's not going to change. They did go back and forth between the quarterbacks early on. Obviously, Drew Pine took over, and so it is a little bit of a surprise that he is transferring, and that is going to kind of change things up a little bit for them. But make no difference of it. This team is going to be a run first team, and they're going to play some really strong defense. I still do believe that Notre Dame has what it takes. It's going to be I think this is going to be one of the more intriguing bowl games of the entire bowl season. Notre Dame, you don't know which Notre Dame team you're going to get. Are you going to get the one that beats Clemson, or are you going to get the one that loses to Marshall? Same thing with South Carolina. Are you getting the team that beat Clemson and Tennessee, or are you getting the team that's also kind of an afterthought in the SEC? It's one of these. It's going to be such an intriguing matchup between these two teams. But I don't really expect Notre Dame to shy too far away from their game plan. If anything, this kind of helps them start looking at to what next year could potentially look at like for them with Tyler Buckner under center.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure to see what does end up happening there. Where are you seeing that Spencer Rattler entered the transfer portal?
I saw he tweeted it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking through, because I made sure, because I thought I saw the same thing, and I'm going through and I didn't necessarily see it. So,
I'm pretty sure he did, because I was like, "Where do you think you're going, dude?" When I saw that, because I know, a lot of people have been talking because originally one of the coaches that was.
Well, you
quick
do
look.
that.
That's out.
Go ahead. Well, while you look that up, I'm going to give, because he's the reason why is because
there's an article that came out a day ago from NBC that says a quick look at South Carolina and Spencer Rattler before Notre Dame focuses on them.
Right. That's what I was seeing ones that was like, because I thought I saw the same thing and it said he's going to play is every article that I saw. So
maybe he said he's going to go into the transfer portal after the bowl game.
Maybe. But regardless, I guess even that makes him even more so my player to watch for the game, because that's why I was so like double checking everything, because Spencer Rattler is my impact player for the South Carolina squad, because you mentioned it. What team are we going to get from either of these teams. I mean, like you mentioned, it's a South Carolina team that beat Clemson and Tennessee at the end of the year, but overall was 8-4, and part of that. I mean, in those last two games, Spencer Rattler, in those upsets over number 5 Tennessee and number 8 Clemson, completed 72% of his passes for 798 yards, 8 touchdowns, just 2 picks. And he had a rushing touchdown in that game as well. But prior to those wins, when they are they would have been 6-4 on the season. He was completing 65% of his passes, only averaging 198 yards per game, and had just 8 touchdowns to 9 interceptions on the season. So, which Spencer Rattler are we going to get? If we get him, which Spencer Rattler are we going to get? For the bowl game, should he be playing? Because like I said, I'm with you. I thought I saw the article, which is why I tried extra super duper hard to make sure that the articles that I was seeing showed him as playing. But yeah,
maybe he didn't. Maybe.
uh,
Yeah, I'm not seeing him. I'm seeing. Okay, maybe he didn't.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that is so weird because
No, I'm
I
with you because I thought
swore
I saw
I
two.
saw a tweet that he was entering the transfer portal. Maybe it was a 1 year anniversary. Like, hey, look, if it wasn't for this happening, South Carolina wouldn't won all these games.
Yeah, but yeah, that's who my my impact player for South Carolina is Spencer Rattler, because if he's anything like he was those two games, the last two games of the year. Now, obviously, a lot less on the line as far as you're playing in a bowl game, sure, but at the same time, it's not a fellow SEC East opponent. It's not your arch rival. It's a Notre Dame team. That, I mean, yes, is favored to beat you, but what team are we gonna get? And if Spencer Rattler is anything close to what he was in those last two games of the year, then Notre Dame's got a problem on there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that, like I said, to me, this is one of the more exciting games to watch as far as the bowls goes. I think this one is a very evenly matched, and these are two teams that could potentially be on the rise for next year.
Oh yeah. Do you have an impact player for South Carolina?
Well, I mean, since he's there, I'm going with Spencer Rattler. I mean, your offense has been in a lot of shootouts this year. You put up more points over what two of the best offenses in the country in Clemson and Tennessee. If you have your quarterback there and Spencer Rattler, there's no reason you can't do it against this Fighting Irish team either. So all signs are pointing he's still there, and I didn't think that was legit. So now it is going to be interesting. I do know this for a fact. His number one tight end did go into the transfer portal, so that will be an interesting factor because tight ends they're a quarterback's best friend. They're like the security blanket there for them, always there for the good check down. So that could be a key to keep an eye on.
For sure. For Notre Dame, and so going along with that, I think a big factor for Notre Dame is going to be linebacker Jack Kaiser. He's kind of my player to watch for the Irish. Second on the team in tackles with 53. He's got 2.5 sacks, which is tied for second on the team after Isaiah Foskey decided to forgo the bowl game for the NFL draft. He's second. He's got 2 forced fumbles on the season. This is a Notre Dame pass defense that comes to the game in the top 20, which I didn't expect to see. In the top 20 in yards allowed per game, 191, and he, along with J.D. Bertrand, who is the leader in tackles, has 2 sacks on his own, will have to step up for that defense. So those are two defenses. Like I said, offense is not going to be in the greatest of positions. So it's going to be that defense and those playmakers and Kaiser and Bertrand that are really going to have to step up for the.
Yeah, I definitely agree on Jack Kaiser. Look, if you're going to try to slow down a high-powered offense that we've seen from South Carolina this year, it all begins with your quarterback on defense, and that for Notre Dame is Jack Kaiser. So I expect him to have a big game. I mean, look, he's a guy that he has been arguably one of the best players the minute he walked on campus there, and he's going to continue that right into the bowl game for them and into next year.
So we've got a hot or cold question for both bowl games that we're going to talk about, or both Indiana bowl games that we're going to talk about. And so the take for Notre Dame's game is going to be hot or cold. Marcus Freeman will win his first bowl game as a Notre Dame head coach. Of course, he was around for the Oklahoma State game last year, which Notre Dame did not win in the Fiesta Bowl there. I'm actually going to say this is a cold take. I mean, no Drew Pine, no Michael Mayer, no Isaiah Foskey will just much to overcome for the Irish. Backup quarterback, missing the top pass catcher, missing the leading pass rusher on one of the nation's best pass defenses. Now, they've got a good running game, and they can really. And one of their best assets with that running game is going to be able to keep the ball away from South Carolina's offense. You've got running back Logan Diggs and Audric Estime, who have accounted for 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns on the ground this season. That South Carolina defense will be able to hone in on that rushing attack. They'll make them one-dimensional. They won't allow them to really get into much of a rhythm passing-wise, which is why I say the defense is going to be so important for Notre Dame to try to stop that offense that South Carolina has, and that rushing attack is going to try to have to keep that defense for the Gamecocks on the field. But I'm going with South Carolina. I don't think it's going to be like I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a fun game. But I think just it's going to be a situation where the defense is going to be able to hone in on those good running backs of Notre Dame, and the Irish will be pretty one-dimensional. So I'm going with South Carolina here.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a cold take as well. I don't think Notre Dame can pull this one out. I feel like South Carolina this year has been one of those teams that has risen to the moment when they've needed to. And this is going to be another one of those. And I think you hit the nail right on the head with starting your backup quarterback and then also the fact they're losing Michael Mayer. That right there, to me, that's not an easy thing to lose. Can you overcome the loss of a running back? Yeah, maybe one wide receiver, but arguably your best player on offense, that's not easy. So I'm giving the nod to South Carolina as well, and I do not think Marcus Freeman gets his first bowl win as a head coach this year. Now next year, let's talk.
Now, all the talk about the transfer portal earlier. This is like I literally was like, oh, Isaiah Foskey's gonna be my impact player.
And no, he's gone.
He's gone. Oh, Michael Mayer, I think he's gonna have to step up if the backup quarterback has a good day. He is gone. So yeah, it's just there's too much impact players that are gonna be missing from that Irish squad, which is a shame because the Irish went from, oh my God, they're 0-2. They lost to Marshall, and what's going on? They almost nearly started 0-3, losing to Cal, but they really rallied back and had a good year. So I mean, I'm sure I don't know how the Notre Dame message boards will receive it. I'm sure they'll be angry and calling for Marcus Freeman's head. But yeah, like you said, next year I think they're going to be a good team.